Welcome back to the chapter Squares and Square Roots for Standard 8. This is continuation of our earlier part. This is part 3. In our previous part, we learned the properties of perfect squares. Now we are going to learn the square roots. What is a square root? And to find the value of, you find the square root of any number using the prime factorization method and the long division method. So what exactly is a square root? The square root of a number n is that number which when multiplied by itself gives n as the product. So if you write root 25, you can write 25 as 5 squared. So this is equal to 5 into 5, so it is 5. So is that number which when multiplied by itself gives n as the product. So if you multiply 5 with 5, you will get 25. Or in other words, you can write root of 25, you can write it as 5 squared when you are able to write any number to the power of 2. So this number will be the square root of the number. So here if you see 9 by 64, you can write 9 as 3 squared and 64 as 8 squared. So it can be 3 by 8 the whole squared. You have learned it in powers and exponents. So you are writing it as 3 by 8 whole to the power of 2. So this is equal to 3 by 8. And 0.49 is equal to so root of point, so 0.49 can be written as 0.7 into 0.7. One decimal place you have, so your answer will have two decimal places. 0.7 into 0.7 is 7 into 7, it's 49, and two decimal places 0.49. So the square root of 0.49 will be 0.7. So if you have two decimal places, then the square root of that number will have one decimal place. Now we will learn this prime factorization method. Using this we can find the square root of perfect squares. So this method can be used only to find the square root of the perfect squares. For other numbers we have a long division method. So we will learn this after this. So 784 we have to find, so 784 is a perfect square. So we have already learned this prime factorization of this. The same method you will write it down. So instead of starting with 2, you can also start it with a bigger number and then you can split it later, so that your working will become easier. So 4, 2 and so on. So you can write 4 as 2 squared. Again this is 2 squared and 7 squared. So again you can write it in one single bracket to the power of 2. So this will become 28 squared. So 784, root of 784 is equal to root of 28 squared. So you are able to write a number to the power of 2. So the square root will be 28. So square root is generally written as like this. So actually a square root of any number x, we say it square root, but we don't write the 2 here. We generally write this as this. This actually means 2 is here, but it is not written, because we will be learning cube root of x in our next chapter. So it is, you write cube root of x. So nth root of x is equal to, actually it is x to the power of 1 by n. So this is, so nth root of here, for 2 you don't write, but for all other numbers you have to write the value here. So nth root of x is equal to x to the power of 1 by n. So it is actually, suppose root 784 is equal to root of 28 squared. So how do you get this 28? This is actually 28 squared, the whole to the power of this 1 by n. So it is 2 actually. So it is 1 by 2. So this is equal to 28 to the power of 2 into 1 by 2 is equal to 28. This is how you get this value. This is only for your understanding, I just given. So you can straight away write root of 28 squared is equal to 28. Now we will learn some important properties with the square roots. So root of a into root of b can be written as root of a into b. Similarly, for division also, root a divided by root b, you can write it as root of a by b. But this is only for division and multiplication, this holds good. If it is root a plus b is not equal to root of a plus b, similarly for subtraction also, root a minus root b is never equal to root of a minus b. So this is very important. You should not get confused with this multiplication and addition. And even for root a into root b into root c, you can write it as root of a into b into c also. Now this we discussed in the previous problem. Root of 0.09, you have two decimal places. This is for the perfect squares. So you have 9 is a perfect square, and now you have two decimals here. So your answer root will have only one decimal. Similarly, 0.25, again 25 is a perfect square. So it is actually 5. The value root 25 is 5. So here you have two decimal places. So you can write it as 0.5. Suppose if it was 0.025, here you cannot write, because though 25 is a perfect square, you have three decimal places. So you cannot write the exact value. You have the long division method to find the value root of 0.025. It is not 0.5. So here if you see, again 9 is a perfect square, you have 4 decimal places. So your square root will have only 2 decimal places. So 0.03 is the square root of this. Similarly, if it is 0.009, it has only 3 decimal places. So it is not a perfect square. And here root of 0.4225, it is 4225, square root is 65. So again here you have even number of decimal places. So you have 2 decimal places, here 4 decimal places. So it becomes 2 decimal places. The square root has 2 decimal places. Hope it's very clear. We will do some more problems related to this, which will help you to understand this concept much better. See you all with more problems in my next video. Bye for now.